Had the founders foreseen the future, they would have written a very different Second Amendment. A well-protected public being necessary to the security of a free state, the duty of the people to keep and bear arms shall be enforced. There is a little bit of evidence to suggest that the founders, in fact, did consider this and rejected it at one point or another, most likely objections from the Quakers of Pennsylvania. Every state had a militia system. In Pennsylvania, in particular, you could buy your way out of militia duty. You had to pay $12 for somebody else to stand your duty. Okay, Quakers practiced nonviolence. And I'm not going to sit here and bash on their faith, especially with them not here to defend themselves, and with it being kind of moot in retrospect. But the first purpose of the Second Amendment was not to fight tyranny. In fact, the fighting of tyranny was very much a symptom rather than a cause. The first purpose was to enable the people to meet unlawful force with like force. The history of the Second Amendment starts with the French and Indian Wars, or the 7-Year War. Um, all along the frontier, French allied Indians were raiding British uh, frontier farms and villages. These people had to defend themselves. They had no choice. British armies off in Europe fighting the, I think it's 100-Year War at this point. The there was nobody there to defend them, so they had to defend themselves. They had to bear arms. They had to bear their muskets when they're out in the field hoeing and collecting and seeding and all of the other things that they have to do out on the farm. They actually had to carry their muskets with them all the time because they could be attacked by Indians at any time. These are the events depicted in the film and novel Last of the Mohawks. So if you want to see what that era was kind of like, just watch that film. The fall of Fort William Henry did in fact happen, more or less the way depicted in the book and films. A little on the less side, but very much did happen. There's even a legend that a Jesuit missionary to the French allied Indians, he came upon the village and they were eating dead human meat. He objected to the practice and the Indian said, "You eat what you eat," something to that effect. "For us, this is good meat." That's what kind of war they were in. What happened happened. I'm not going to sit here and bash people who've been dead almost as many generations as the years of my life. Had the founders in 1787 known what the future would hold, this new idea of it's not an infringement to ban automatic weapons or belt feds or this or that. It's uh, it's not an infringement on the Second Amendment to ban pepper spray because pepper spray didn't exist when the Second Amendment was written. They would have written a well-protected public being necessary to the security of a free state, the duty of the people to keep and bear arms shall be enforced. Now, the first two parts, maybe they would have written it the way they did, maybe not. Doesn't even matter. The third part, the duty of the duty of the people to keep and bear arms shall be enforced. They absolutely would have. They would have seen, we wrote, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And yet, someday somebody might try to infringe that. Maybe we need to write it in such a way that it's not going to fly no matter what you do. Benjamin Franklin even tried to warn us about how men of evil intent can twist simple language to their own purposes. Now, what his exact quote was, I'm sorry, I can't find. But he did say to twist simple language. He warned us that men of evil intent will twist simple language to their own purposes. Oh, it's not an infringement to ban AR-15s because those didn't exist. Except, actually, yes, they did. An early analog to what we now call the semi-automatic rifle did exist in 1771. Not with the puckle gun, but with the Garibaldi air rifle. It was a 7-shot gravity fed, a gravity, well, hopper fed um, air rifle. It was silent. Ooh, that's an important detail, isn't it? For those of you who want to delist silencers on the NFA. 7 balls would roll in a hopper, and as you use discharged the weapon, because you don't actually fire it, there's no fire involved. But as you discharge the weapon, the next ball will fall into place and you can discharge it again. The air tank held, I think it was 21 charges. So you could refill the hopper 3 times. 21 charges. Gee, that sounds so familiar. Hey, what's the original capacity on the M16 magazines again? I seem to have conveniently forgot. Damn, that selective amnesia. Just comes and goes whenever I want it to. So, yes, had the founders foreseen the future, they would have written a very different Second Amendment. And the first and second parts doesn't even matter. The duty of the people to keep and bear arms that you would be legally required to have a pistol or a sword or a knife, large fighting type knife, or a very, very big stick. Stick actually is good, Shad. I get it. Shall be enforced. As in, if you don't do it, you may be fined. You may find yourself sitting in county jail for a couple days. You may be forced to work on a road. 100 other possible scenarios you don't really want. Keep calm and mandatory carry on.